No card 1. No card 2. Okay, so I understand that I'm talking to a biased group of people that are police officers, but I want to talk about if police misconduct is a widespread problem, or if it's just a few bad apples that are causing a widespread issue. We know that police officers is the oldest profession in the world, essentially, and every once in a while, a police officer's integrity is called into question. And what we're trying to find out based on statistics and large-scale corruption is if it is a rare occurrence or if it is a widespread problem that some will make it out in like the media and things like that. So some of the main points I'm going to go over, Sir Robert Peel, who's considered the father of modern policing. I'm going to go over his 9 principles which make a good police officer. I'm also going to go over some statistics and research that are involved with officer misconduct. And then I'm going to go over some large-scale corruption cases. And last, I'm going to go over police protections via the Garrity Rule. So Sir Robert Peel in 1829, who, like I said before, is considered the father of modern policing. He was with the London Metropolitan Police Department. He created 9 principles of policing, which makes a good police officer. Those were put into a blog of the New York Times and one of NYPD Police Chief William Bratton's blogs. Now, I had that handout up here if you guys would like a handout on the principles, but I'm going to go over each one of them with you. So if you guys would like it, once you leave, you can take one. Principle 1, the basic mission for which the police exist is to prevent crime and disorder. Principle 2, the ability of the police to perform their duties is dependent upon public approval of police actions. Principle 3, police must secure the willing cooperation of the public and voluntary observance of the law to be able to secure and maintain the respect of the public. Principle 4, the degree of cooperation of the public that can be secured diminishes proportionally to the necessity of the use of physical force. Principle 5, police seek and preserve public favor not by catering to public opinion, but by constantly demonstrating absolute impartial service to the law. Principle 6, police use physical force to the extent necessary to secure observance of the law or to observe or restore order only when the exercise of persuasion, advice, and warning is to be insufficient. Principle 7, police at all times should maintain a relationship with the public that gives reality to the historic tradition that police are the public and the public are the police. The police be only members of the public who are paid to give full-time attention to duties which are incumbent on every citizen in the interest of community welfare and existence. Principle 8, police should always direct their actions strictly towards their functions and never appear to usurp the powers of judiciary. And lastly, Principle 9, the test of police efficiency is the absence of crime and disorder, not the visible evidence of police action in dealing with it. Like I said, I have this handout up here. As you guys leave, you guys can take one if you'd like. So, obviously, that still shows what a good police officer is. So, but does the research on police misconduct fit with that version of a police officer? In 2010, April 2011, they released the 2010 National Police Misconduct Statistics and Reporting Project report. In that, they studied 4,861 cases of police misconduct. The largest category listed was 28.3%, which is excessive use of force cases. The lowest category is 0.5%, which is murder or homicide, so an officer kills somebody in the line of duty. That obviously, contrary to belief, everybody normally assumes that's one of the larger categories. They estimate, and this is one of the biggest things from the report, they estimate that 977.98 officers for every 100,000 officers actually disrespect the profession and perform misconduct. So to put that in perspective, 978 officers for every 100,000. That is 0.009%. So less than 1/100% of officers that disrespect the profession and do something that's considered misconduct out of a little bit over 1 million police officers in the United States. So if the statistics show that we really don't disrespect our profession very much, so let's look at some of the corruption cases. In 1994, the New York Times put out an article. This was the largest corruption case in the New York City Police Department, which is the largest police department in the United States. It was dubbed the 3030 because it was the 30th precinct at NYPD in East Harlem. And the corruption case revolved around a cocaine ring. 29 officers were indicted that year and arrested, which sounds like a lot of officers at one time. But considering the New York City Police Department has over 38,000 police officers, that's actually 0.0007% of the police officers that were arrested. So 29 sounds like a lot, but when you put it in the number of officers they have, that's less than less than 1/1000th of a percent of the officers that are there. So that essentially, that still falls under a very, very low rate, obviously. Following Hurricane Katrina in 2005, the New Orleans Police Department, which was at one point considered the most corrupt police department in the United States, was studied by the Department of Justice. Following that study, they released a report which was 158 pages. In that report, they basically listed a lot of reforms. A lot of them weren't necessarily like serious misconduct. A lot of them need additional training. They need to adjust the way that the department's structured, things like that. So even a large scale department like that, we can make adjustments, and so we look a little bit better in the public's eyes. So obviously corruption is a very low rate. Obviously, it looks like that we're falling into Robert Peel's principles for the most part. So do we have protections as police officers? Yes, we do. It falls back to 1961 when Chief Garrity of the Barrington, New Jersey Police Department chose to investigate 3 of his officers for fixing tickets. And it was at the recommendation of the New Jersey Attorney General. When he investigated the officers, he interviewed each one of them about the ticket fixing, and he told them that they needed to give a statement or they'd be fired. After he had dealt with the personnel issue, he used those statements against them to prosecute them in crime. That was sent all the way to the United States Supreme Court, which created the Garrity rule for police officers, and it's called the Garrity versus New State of New Jersey. And what that does is, now when you're interviewed for a personnel issue, you can invoke your Garrity rule or Garrity rights, and then you can give a statement for a personnel issue, and they cannot use that against you in any kind of criminal proceeding if they decide to do that at a later date. So there is that out there. And I found that on thegarrity.com. So just to review a little bit, obviously Sir Robert Peel had a vision on what police officers should be, and he had those in his 9 principles. The data shows that police do not disrespect the profession and do misconduct at a large rate. It's a very rare occurrence and likely by a few bad apples. Some of even the larger corruption cases prove that point and prove the data. And lastly, if you do get caught up in something like that, you have the rights of every other citizen. Ours, at least we can go through our personnel and invoke your Garrity rights and be able to protect yourself from criminal liability just for giving a statement on personnel issues. Okay, any questions? All right, thank you.